So, hello, Martin here again. In this episode I show you how I'm coloring this finished line work. Normally I do a part with the ink, the line work, then I color it, and the next part so that I can see if we're in the right direction. In this case, I decided to finish the whole line work, and then yesterday I started to make an underpainting with a blue tone, something like indigo and brown, and then I darkened some parts. So it's like the traditional way and not like I do it normally, to fill these areas part for part, like in my other pictures. And then I want to have in the background these not so colorful parts, and more colorful with maybe orange, red and shiny greens, this foreground part. And for the line work I used this permanent ink fine liner as well as a bucket brush, so for these darker shadow parts, so that we have a nice contrast between smaller, thinner lines and more dark areas, so underneath these parts of the tower, these floors. For the painting, which I tried here first, I used Rembrandt. These Rembrandt watercolors. I want to give them a try, and yes, it works well. And therefore I only used cobalt blue and sienna and this lamp black. And how I mentioned, here in the foreground we will use other colors as well. But first I will finish this part, this area, in the same way I did it here and here. So here I have my palette, which I can show you during the painting here on this left side. My colors. And here we have some of these travel brushes these are from my Skoda. As well I have, this one we don't need. And maybe we need some finer brushes. We'll see. Start for this first wash with the number 16 here. So that you can see the palette as well. And we start with this green, sienna green tones, and this I'll get when I use this cobalt blue and sienna, and then I get some green, maybe more of the sienna tone, and very much water. And we start here. Then I take some more cobalt blue to get a nice gradient here around this dome. And then in the second layer we do the darks and the different tones. So now we go more into a sienna for this pure sienna for these towers. the bottom here we change to black and cobalt so that we get something like an indigo. And this goes down until we get the parts of the foreground. All that's here. And that's the first layer. And maybe I check the green here. A little bit more of cobalt. And then with a dry brush, so that we get more lighter at the top. I also can do a little bit sienna mixed with black for this part here. I paint around these buildings and of course around the building in the foreground. And so we have this part here, and now I will do the rest of this first wash. So this part here and here, and therefore I will speed up a little bit because I'm doing the same. And of course I could pre-mix these three different paints, but I want to have a little variation in tones in the value, so I mix them and use them immediately so that we get some variation and it's not so uniform. Okay, so now we have to wait till it's completely dry, and then we take a thinner brush and do the shadows and the variations of the green tones, the sepia brown tones, as well as this bluish ground. And I do some soft edges, some hard edges, so that there is a variation, like in the traditional watercolor paintings. And of course now the whole picture looks still a little bit muddy, because we didn't do the foreground, and then the shiny foreground is the most important part for a nice finished picture. The more muddy the background, the more shiny the foreground. So hello again, and now it's the next day, and I show you what I have done here. So now I painted these shadows in, so like in this part you watched, and now this is ready as well. And here a preview about the houses, now with more shiny, colorful paint, and we together will paint this, like the trees here, the buildings here, and as you can see here, let's zoom in a little bit. I used a little bit of a liquid mask to protect the highlights. The white highlights in this at this picture, and this liquid mask is as well here. So when you will see then when we remove it. So let's take some nice fresh yellow, this a little bit of red maybe, and sienna, and like always with very much water, especially for the first paint. And then here we do the next building. So you see very much water. And I would say that this building behind is the same color, and then with the second wash we make a difference in the shading. So let's lift up the rest of this color here, and it's a little bit another, just a tiny bit darker at this one. And the coloring of this full picture doesn't take that much time as you may expect. So I think in 1 day and about 8 hours it's done. And the line work is about, more, I would guess, 2.5 days with 8 hours each. Then here we have the red roof, and these parts I want that they are very shiny, that they pop in the foreground, so that we have a color contrast to the background. And you see here where the paint doesn't soak into the paper, there's the liquid mask. So that's the first layer, the liquid mask for the highlights. So let's do all these red parts. The pencil is an Escoda travel brush with number 16. So here as well the roofs should be red. Ah, okay, there's the liquid mask from the green, so I have to remove it. But now I have to wait till the other parts are white. So that I can paint here. And a second layer. Let's see, the light is from above, so the darker parts are here at the bottom of the roof. This is the idea from the red onions in much of the Paris cafes, and as well as we in Austria mainly have red or brown roofs. So this is why I choose this color as well for this here, but that's in there we have the shadow already. There is no particular reason that the shading is before the coloring. Normally it's the opposite way. But in this case I didn't know if I leave it black and white or I will color this drawing. And so we have to live with it. Would I recommend this workflow? No, because to do the darker parts, the shadows after the coloring is much more intuitive, and then the blacks are over the color, so like it's in the real world. And the next part will be some of the buildings, very fast and quick, and then these greens, these bushes here. Here we have the entrance of a winery, a wine cellar, very common in Austria. So there's a long tunnels, holes in the earth, so that there is always the same temperature, and that's good for wine. I'm living in this Weinviertel, so you can translate it with wine quarter, the wine part. Then we have a wooden quarter, Waldviertel, as well in Austria, so because of the forests there and others spaces in Austria. So okay, then here I think we have, yeah, I have then when it's dry to remove the liquid mask. So meanwhile we can I can show you here the green. There I start with a very yellowish tone. I show it here. So very much yellow, very bright. And then I add the shadows. Here you see these white parts. This is where the liquid mask is placed. Let's do all this green. And then we add the shadows, the darker greens. Here are stairs, so we go down here. Had to add some branches, so some brown tones, as well as these stairs. And let's do as well this one here. So all in all, I think when I would draw 8 hours a day, but I do 3 or 4 pictures at the same time, so that I can change depending on the mood, in which mood I am. But when I only would draw 1 picture at a time, I think in 2.5 or 3 days I could do the whole picture. So, because of course it's my topic, that what I do mostly, is cityscapes. Now I have to find a nice tone for this building here. I'm not sure, but I try. I can remember in real, these are real buildings. They are with a white facade. And so I would only use black with a touch of blue. A little bit brown, so that we have a little color variation here. So, and as well here green, brown tones in the shadow. So in a second I show you because then I finished this one for myself, but I show you how I want to do these towers, because they are the focus point of this drawing.